Hello, YouTubian!
What's going on, everybody?
Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, and good night.
Greetings.
However, whenever you're watching this, we appreciate you because we already know time is expensive.
Yes, sir. Thank you for tuning in.
And thank you for subscribing, bot or not. But if you're here for the first time, this show is about everything and anything creative. Anything that sparks your creativity in whatever medium you dabble in.
Yes, expressing your creative soul.
And welcome to another episode of Creativity
Unsheathed.
I'm Oliver C.
And I'm Nino.
And yes, we are brothers.
Yes, we are.
And this is the show where we feel
that you are nothing without your word.
Yes, promise made is a promise kept.
Yes, honor that promise.
Yep, definitely.
Yep, it really shows your character, your reputation at that.
Mm-hmm. Being that honorable one.
For sure.
And why we're talking about this and what we're looking in today is Blood and Bone,
starring Michael Jai White.
And why we're looking into this, because we feel one of his best showcases as a martial artist.
Yeah, for sure. I agree.
We feel like he just demonstrates all sorts of styles and just his pure athleticism as a martial artist.
Yes,
you know?
I agree.
Yeah, it's choreographed, but the execution is there. You see, it looks crisp and, you know.
No wires.
No wires.
And the moves that he does, it's like phenomenal.
And when we say different styles, we say a lot of different styles, from Shotokan, Goju Ryu, Taekwondo, Kobudo, Tangsudo, Wushu, Jiu-Jitsu, Kyoshin, boxing, like straight up JKD.
Yeah, for sure. A wide variety of styles. It's not catered to just one style. It's more like a JKD boxing stance.
Yeah.
Yeah, he'll throw his hand out there for measurement, blocking, but it doesn't signify any style.
No. Knowing that he does know all these styles.
Yeah.
But he arrives to whatever moment presents to him.
Right? Bruce is still no form.
Mm-hmm. Be shapeless, be formless.
For sure.
Right? And if you watch this movie from beginning to end, you totally get that homage of Bruce Lee's Game of Death
Big Boss.
Big Boss.
Yeah, it's almost like Tony Jaa's Ong Bak, where he fights different styles just to rank up.
Totes.
You know?
And shout out to the director, Ben Ramsey. He wrote the movie The Big Hit, starring Mark Wahlberg,
Lou Diamond Phillips,
yep,
and Bokeem Woodbine.
Yes. And he also wrote the screenplay for Dragon Ball Z Evolution. But for this film, he directs it. And, you gotta applaud him for his directional eye and his choices.
Yes, great angles.
Yeah.
Nice compositions.
You can take away a lot from this movie.
Yeah,
you'll definitely be entertained. And Michael Jai White's character, he plays this typical drifter, loner, if you will, who is fulfilling his promise that he made to a friend that he met in prison.
Yeah, a cellmate.
Yeah. We're about to dive into this movie, but if you haven't seen it, save this video, or if you just want to watch the fight scenes, you do it how you want to do it. But we're going to talk about all the spoilers and takes on what we feel about the movie.
Yeah, let's do it.
So we open up in prison. You see Michael Jai White's character. He is relieving himself of his fluids, if you will. Right next to him is a fellow friend or inmate giving a warning about JC, played by Kimbo Slice.
Kimbo Slice.
They're about to enter the sanatorium, if you will, and they're, about to do a number on him, if you will, or whatever the lingo is in prison.
Yeah, about to ice him.
Shank him, whatever it may be.
Shit him, yeah.
This guy even warns him about that. But Michael Jai White seems cool, calm, and collected at this point.
Grateful for that little info.
Alright, so here's JC and his boys coming in.
JC is 5 deep with his boys.
And they're paying off the guard. The guard leaves the room. They're showing territory. They don't like how Bones is to himself. This loner type, that he doesn't want to intermingle with anybody else within the prison walls.
Right.
They don't like that for some reason.
He's very selective.
But here they are, want to prove a point. However, Michael Jai White's full demonstration of his martial arts, you almost kind of see like a little Bruce Lee Enter the Dragon type sequence. When he does the whole lap sao, pak sao moves, and that whole pan out.
Yeah.
And again, shout out to Ben Ramsey for just keeping it stationary and...
For real, not a lot of cuts. He let him do what he does. That's a good thing.
Man, it's like really jaw-dropping.
Yeah, that's like he didn't demonstrate one style.
No.
Like the way he went about it, really like intercepting and just going simple, direct, and it wasn't like overselling it.
No exaggerating hi-yas or like copying Bruce. You know what I mean?
Yeah. He wasn't overselling his martial arts.
Nah, he was letting his martial arts speak for itself. But after this fight ended, just let it be a warning for everybody in there.
Yep.
And I wonder if this was post-promise to his friend.
Oh, yeah.
Right. So, fast forward. Bones. He's out of prison. Touches down in L.A. He's looking for a place to stay. He finds a room for rent within the rough parts of the neighborhood. You see drug dealers, especially with these two characters, and how they go about their way of living.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And within this boarding home, we get to meet Roberto, fellow tenant of this boarding house. You see him playing chess.
Yeah. Michael Jai blocks his son. And then Roberto was like, wow, I need a shade up in here.
Right, because it was really hot.
Yeah.
And then Roberto introduces him to Tamara.
Yeah.
The landlady of this boarding house.
Sets up rules or whatever.
Given that there's children within the home.
Bones acknowledges that he doesn't have to worry about trouble with him.
In terms of quietness, no fast women,
right.
And just no trouble. This is the kind of life he wants to live.
Right.
Story continues. Later that night, we get introduced to the underground fighting world.
Nice.
And Dante Basco's character, Pinball.
Hell yeah.
Right? Pinball is this poetic version of Michael Buff and Don King put together.
Yeah.
Him announcing every fight on top of being a promoter and knowing the underground fight world.
Being a great showsman.
Pretty much, yeah.
Right.
He has an intro for every fighter, it seems.
For sure.
Very much like in this fight scene, get to see all the different type of fighters. Gives me the vibes of like Def Jam.
Ready to Rumble too.
Yeah. Like, just the different characters. In particular is a Mommy Dearest.
Oh yeah. With the hair rollers.
Yeah. Who is a real fighter by the name of Ernest the Cat Miller. And, that's pretty cool that we get, like, actual fighters, real fighters.
Yeah.
They're not paper tigers.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
for sure.
Actors just learning for the role. They actually know their stuff.
Yeah. You actually have real fighters.
Story continues. Here comes James, played by Iman Walker, a local mob leader, if you will, who partakes in the underground fight world, who has his prize fighter waiting in the car, waiting for his next fight, who Pinball is about to go up against.
Right.
You see Pinball meeting with James, giving their respects and the money that's owed up for this fight.
Right.
And Pinball's fighter, the cowboy.
Yeah.
We talked about size difference all the time, but if you don't know your stuff, your chances of survival are pretty slim to none. And James Fighter comes out the car, who gets formally introduced as the Hammerman.
Yeah, man, the Hammerman. They juiced that guy up.
Yeah, something to think twice about, before fighting this guy. And shout out Bob Sapp. I only know him from The Longest Yard. And he's also a real kickboxer himself.
Wow.
Yeah, he has quite of a career under his belt.
Yeah, for sure.
So as before James gets ready for this fight, he gets a call from his mysterious leader, if you will, or this guy he answers to. But he needs James to do a favor for him in terms of getting rid of a fellow associate.
Yeah.
Right? And he goes by the name of Darrow. And for James' perspective, he has to answer to his higher up. He has to obey such order.
Yeah.
This mysterious figure that he answers to, watches him because you see him from across the street of this fight event, right?
And whatnot.
Looking within his laptop and, just being that boss, if you will, right?
For sure.
James obeys and he'll take care of that. So after the fighters get introduced, here's Pinball. Knuckle up! Not like that, but knuckle up!
That's wow.
And the fighters go at it. But
nice.
For the cowboy, barely scratching the surface.
Yeah.
And
nothing phases him.
And then again, props to Ben Ramsey for this particular fight as Hammerhead was pounding down on Cowboy.
Yeah.
Like, man, we just
felt the beast come out. Like, whoa, looks scary too.
For real, dude.
Being under that, like, whoa.
Yeah, and that's why you guys don't want to end up on the ground, yo.
Just close your eyes. Just close your eyes, yo. Either close your eyes or run.
Man, continue. Put you in your quarters. No, but really, story continues. Here's Pinball giving his money up to James because, as the honorable thing to do, you gotta be about your word, right?
Yep, honor your word.
So he gives up the money that he loses. In a way, he loses more respect from James.
Yeah.
And the scene cuts to Pinball going back to his car.
Yeah.
Take a swig from that liquid courage.
Yeah. Try to think about the money he just lost.
All right. But then here is Bones popping out of that back seat.
Yeah.
Scaring Pinball. He was about to pull out a gun, but Bones was like, don't bother.
Yeah,
He was
yeah.
like, whoa, you gonna take my ribs or something, man? What you want? But no, he just wants to fight. And I'm not here to hurt you. I'm not here to take your rims.
He's trying to get closer to his goal.
He wants to fight Hammerman.
Hammerman.
And then here's Bones striking up a deal with Pinball to be his promoter. They come out to a deal where, I don't know if it's like an 80-20 or a 60-40 type of deal.
Bones would give Pinball 20%, but 40% if Pinball uses his own money.
Yeah, however that works. And Bones fights that night. And then here is Bones encountering James and James's girl Angela. And they stare hard at each other as if Bones knows her or he found his person of interest.
Yeah.
And James doesn't like that. He said, you're staring kind of hard there. Hard not to.
Right.
He doesn't like that as far as ego and territory, if you will.
Yeah.
And kisses her in front of him as if like that's gonna push some buttons or whatever. But
Right.
it doesn't faze Bone. So from there, they just part ways and Bones gets ready for his fight. And then here's Pinball warning him, you know, next time you want to poke at the bear or something, don't. You know what I mean?
For sure.
But seems like Bones knows what he's doing. Side note, here is James, you know, resetting the boundaries or resetting the rules as far as being the man in this relationship. Setting her straight in terms of not doing that eye contact again with another man, if you will.
Yeah.
You know, type activity. But saved by Ronnie Wan's character.
Teddy.
Saves Angela from unnecessary beating, if you will.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
for sure.
By being James's bodyguard, you know, like, James, where do you got to go now?
Because it's probably hard for them to always see that as well. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Now cutting to Bones' fight. Pinball puts in the bet of 5-1. I don't know what 5-1 is in terms of gambling, but comment below. Give us an example.
Yeah.
Bones sees his opponent. He's analyzing his opponent, if you will, and he's just seeing his techniques and what he can use against him. And with this fighter, it seems like he likes to do those Muay Thai kicks, leg sweeps. You have that Muay Thai style there. So Bones takes that into account. And then, knuckle up! As they do. And here's Michael Jai, just regular stance, but then he switches up as if he's holding that padding, right?
Yeah.
To give that fighter that sense like, oh, I'm practicing.
Oh, that's right, I should hit. Yeah,
Right.
luring him.
Right?
Yeah.
He takes that bait, tries to attack, but then Bones is quicker. You know, he beats him to the kick, if you will.
Yeah.
You know, he does a spin kick, hitting his opponent in the gut,
The gut.
and then finishing it off with a flying high kick.
Fucking to the head.
Dude, look like Bruce Lee's
Boss,
form.
yeah,
man.
yeah.
Right? Again, no wires here, y'all.
No wires. He got up there.
Dude, with boots on. And what boots are given to be,
5 pounds a shoe.
right? Comment below if boots are heavier nowadays, depending on the brand. But,
Yeah.
and his form is just crisp martial arts.
Core. For a stocky built guy. Very agile and flexible.
Right? I'm amazed. The whole crowd is amazed. And to the point, he's getting videotaped on the flip phone.
Yeah.
the early days of technology, y'all.
For sure.
Again, this movie came out in 2009, so the technology wasn't out there yet. But I can only imagine the quality. Really grainy.
Yeah.
Fast forward, here's Pinball hyping up his new prize fighter. They're in the car of his,
It
but
looks like a 70s old car.
yeah, definitely looks like a scraper, y'all.
Yeah.
Yeah, he has the nice rims, but the body is like rusted up.
Two-tone, if you will.
But before he makes that money, though, you just see the before and after. And here they are in the car, just hyping up each other up, and just the future that they're gonna have together,
Yep.
the kind of fights that they're gonna get into, and the revenge that he's about to do against James.
Yeah.
You know, just ranking up.
Yeah, for
Right?
sure.
Because in order to get to Hammerman, Bones has to rank up.
Yeah.
You know, to make a name within the underground fight
Yeah.
world.
Kind of like in video games, right? You gotta build up your money to fight the top.
But for Bones, he doesn't really care about that. He already has confidence with himself and his skills. He really wants to know about Angela.
Yeah.
But Pinball is not trying to have that because that's James's girl. Everyone knows that on the street. But for Bones, he knows otherwise. But he wants to know a little bit more deeper in terms of the person of interest. From there, Pinball just explains what he knows, what goes on in the street in terms of James setting up Danny.
Yeah.
Right? Bones' friend that he made the promise to.
Which his nickname was Choir Boy.
Choir Boy. So
On the
with,
streets.
right? With such name, he was framed for a triple homicide, which how he ended up in jail, just so James can have his girlfriend or wife at that time, Angela.
And I wonder if they were friends or they just didn't like each other.
Yeah, I wonder how their paths got crossed.
Yeah, same like group of friends, but just didn't like him or just jealous or whatever.
Jealousy is everywhere, yo.
Yeah. But James knows of Choir Boy, so.
Because of Angela, and that was his main goal, and which now he has, but she's on the horse, if you will, in terms of a drug addiction. But for James, living a certain life in terms of specific rules of, not doing drugs or drinking, no profanity, if you will. But here he is supplying Angela, his own called prize girlfriend, wife, whatever, with drugs, and it's totally double standard or hypocritical of him. And
it's like his way of manipulation.
Yeah. It really shows the villainy within this character.
For sure.
Story continues. Here's James fulfilling that order that he has to do for his boss, if you will. Here he is with his crew, Teddy, Hammerman, with his person of interest, Daryl, and his wife, I guess. But it looked like what's going on in the scene, it looks like it's a nice dinner. Amongst friends or whatnot. They're talking about golf. They have Wang Chun playing on the stereo. But for James, he says he has to take care of business, right? So he tells Daryl, don't take this personal. He unsheathed his sword, which is disguised as a cane.
Nice.
He stabs Daryl in the shoulder. Daryl falls to the ground in pain. The girlfriend is being entertained by Teddy. She can't do much. She's being kept quiet. Hammerman turns up the music to drown out the noise.
Yeah.
James is just kicking him to the face.
Kick him to death.
And again, shout out to Ben Ramsey with this camera angle.
Yeah.
You feel this pain from this perspective.
Yeah.
And then here is James busting out the final blow with his sword and just kills Daryl right there on the ground, showing off his villainy and who he is as a character in this movie.
It's just crazy how you would think James's character alone is the boss. But yeah, he answers to someone bigger. So it's like you're still like just a pawn.
Exactly.
Or like a street soldier. To the higher ups.
Yeah. The story continues. Here's Ron Yuan's character, Teddy. He fills in James Pinball's new fighter, if you will, and he shows the footage on his pickle phone. Right? This is a pre-Apple phone, but the design of this phone just looks like an Apple phone.
Yeah.
So on this footage, James gets to see the showcase by Bones, and now he knows of Pinball's new fighter.
Yeah.
But for him, he has some doggy duties, making dinner for his two pit bulls. You see him cutting up some raw meat, if you will.
For sure.
Right? And then you see him feeding his two pit bulls, his babies. And these two pit bulls, they're going to definitely play a role later on in this movie. And with their given diet, you can see how it's going to play a part.
It's like putting him in the cage with the pit bulls was another way of showing him his villainy, his upper hand.
His way of power.
Yeah,
right?
like Teddy looked nervous too. It's as if like the dog don't even care who Teddy is.
Right? Because all they see is meat.
Yeah.
They're hungry, right?
Yeah, for sure.
Given their diet, right? The story continues. You see Bones. He's on the porch of the boarding house. He's playing chess with Roberto. Tamara's doing one of the girls' hair. And then here is one of the young boys that stays at this boarding house who goes by the name of Jared. You see him hanging out with these two drug dealers in front of the house. And you see the bad influence of the fast life that they're trying to persuade him with. He's internalized with the jewelry, with, the cool bike. And, they're saying, oh, you want this? You want to get this? They're trying to show him the fast life. But Tamara, being the mother figure of this boarding house, she calls Jared up right away, getting him away from that mess, which he is disciplined enough. He listened and he, went back to the house. But these two jerks, they're assaulting Roberto, calling him, all these elderly jokes you can think of. They're just laying it out on him. But then here is Bones just popping up right behind him without Roberto knowing. And just scaring off these two jerks. And
without saying a word.
Right? But for Bones and Roberto, they continue their chess game.
Yeah.
And I really like this chess piece. It's the Animal Kingdom.
Ooh, yeah.
But this game gets cut short because Bones plays 4 moves ahead and he calls checkmate. And Roberto looks baffled. He has to look at the board a little bit more, but he gives up his $5. He loses a bet, and Bones has to carry on to his next fight that night because here is Pinball picking him up in his scraper.
Time to go to work.
And here's a little small warning from Tamara. I'm not sure I like the kind of people you hang out with, Mr. Bone. Neither do I.
Nice.
Story continues. Here we are at this freeway underpass. We are at another location of an underground fight, if you will. This is a whole different crowd. Bones and Pinball are rolling up in the middle of a fight between a real fighter, Gina Carano.
Nice.
She goes by the name of Beretta, but you just see her just pounding down on her opponent in this fight.
Beretta Vendetta.
Right? You might know her from the first Deadpool movie.
That's bad on the knees.
Yeah. I forget the character she plays, but she was definitely in there.
Nice. She looked a little taller, a little bigger.
She definitely had the slim physique in this movie.
Yeah.
Story continues. Here's Pinball talking to the fight promoter. He goes by the name of Tattoo, played by Francis Capra. If you recognized him, he was that little kid in that movie Kazam with Shaquille O'Neal.
Oh, no way.
The little genie movie. And then, I believe he was also in Bronx Tale.
Oh.
Yeah, the nephew.
Oh, wow. He played the nephew, huh?
Yeah. He also played a small role in The Strain. He became a vampire. Hit the like button if you know what we're talking about. Story continues. Pinball puts up 5 Gs for this fight against Tattoo's best fighter.
Yeah.
Tattoo agrees. He feels that Pinball's fighter is nothing.
Thinks he can come up here and take our money?
Right. So here is Tattoo. He sets up his fighter, Gold Tooth, to go up against him.
Nice.
And at a glance, you could probably say he's definitely intimidating. You know, he has the muscles going on, and the gold teeth really says the name, right? Says it all.
Nice form.
But within that form, you have Bones analyzing it.
Yep.
And there's a flaw to it. And Bones sees it.
Yep.
So, here they are. Knuckle up!
Nice.
Bones, he's just in that stance, right? Just waiting for him to strike because he already knows that flaw.
Nice.
And within that flaw, he leaves his hand down, not putting that guard up, that lead jab, right? It limps, right? And then that's that opening that Bones takes.
Yeah.
One technique with a swift hook knocks out Gold Tooth out cold. One hitter quitter, yo.
Yeah, crisp right hook. Not a white swing either.
Right, and then here's Pinball. One technique! I never seen that before. Pay up, 2 at a time.
Right.
Here is Tattoo, taking up on that offer. 2 at a time? Wait, what was that? 2 at a time, what'd you say?
Yeah.
Let's do that. And then Pinball opened his mouth way too much. He's like, wait, what do you mean?
I felt like that was part of the plan almost, too.
Maybe.
To double up. Because he knows he can beat them all.
Right? Hey, maybe it was part of the plan, but it was never disclosed. But Bones has the martial arts to back it up.
Yep,
right?
exactly.
Tattoo sends in his 2 goons, his 2 henchmen, and they come in with flannels on, and just they have that whole Vato look, the whole LA scene. But
you're running the mill thug.
Yeah. But for Bones, it's nothing. These guys, they come in with the hip hop style fighting. Bones is intercepting all these dudes, and again, his demonstration of martial arts is just so crisp, so pure, so awesome, so smooth.
They didn't even touch him.
No, Bones even broke a sweat.
Yeah, no, not even. And he did like leg locks and armbar and didn't break a sweat.
Yeah. Maybe he dusted himself off because he was on the ground, but here's Tattoo. He's amazed. He can't believe what he's seen. Bones wants to triple it. Yeah. But Tattoo doesn't want to pay up. He has that ego all of a sudden, or he doesn't want to own up on his end. Yeah. Where's the honor and promise in that? I don't know. Instead of paying up, he sends in more goons.
Yeah. Only like 4 more, 5 more, right?
Pinball can't believe this, but he also can't believe what he's seen. Yeah. Bones is taking out these guys one by one, straight down the line. Yeah. And again, you got to give a shout out to Ben Ramsey for just letting this scene play out. No cuts, no nothing, just as if like Michael Jai had a real say in this.
Yeah, for sure. Helped him direct it.
Right.
As far as his fight scenes.
Mm-hmm. Again, one by one, Tattoo's surprised. Because he said, if you want the money, come get it. And you put that money down in his pants. Yeah. Right? And it's like, that whole bravado thing. Yeah. After Bones just takes out all those dudes, he hears Tattoo trying to pull out a gun on Bones. Bones was just too quick before you can do anything with that gun.
Batted it away, swatted it away.
Right, hit Tattoo in the face with it to grab where the money was. He just ripped it out. Tattoo falls to the ground. He throws the money to Pinball. Pinball's like, holy shit. The most money he ever held in his life as a promoter. His eyes widen like it was on Christmas.
Yeah, right. 20 G's.
And here's Gina. or Veretta, if you will.
Yeah.
You know, she was impressed with Bones' demonstration, with his performance.
Hell yeah.
She was like, call me. Pulls their number out from her athletic bra and just...
Like she was ready.
Like, man, she really got turned on by that, and I guess for her, she was really selective. That was the kind of man she wanted.
Takes no shit.
Right.
Gets to work.
Story continues. We're here in Pinball Scraper. He's celebrating. He's sniffing that big wad of cash. And Bones is like, you know where that's been, right? But for Pinball, again, he's just a boy on Christmas. He's never seen that much money in his life. But here is Tattoo with an AK or, you know, a semi-automatic, whatever it may be, just shooting down their car, just out of that revenge and just that kid ego, if you will, you know, bratty ego.
And then, like, that money came in handy after his window got shot. Now he can get it fixed.
Yeah. Story continues. We get this awesome montage. Within this montage, you see Bones just ranking up within the Underground Fight Club, fighting in different venues. We see his awesome katas that he's partaking in front of the boarding house. Yeah. And man, just his physique, dude. I mean, yeah, this is 2009 or whenever this film was shot, but his physique at this point was really Michelangelo. Like it was really chiseled,
really defined.
Yeah, dude. I'm like, man, is that real?
Yeah, if you guys seen his body while he did the katas and the way he moved when he fought, it's like it almost doesn't match, but it's just amazing.
Yeah, you just wouldn't expect it coming out of, you know, his body build.
Like he's able to carry all that muscle.
Mm-hmm. And some of the directions that Ben Ramsey executed here, like while Bones is doing his katas, you see like the leaves flowing from the left.
Yeah.
As if like that was like some Akira Kurosawa Seven Samurai type deal. You know? It's like that was a pretty cool visual right there. And this one fight scene where he's I guess you want to say in this nightclub, he's barefooted, you know what I'm saying? Like, what made him have that decision to fight barefoot? It's like, again, does it have to do with his analytics?
Yeah.
You know, pre-fights?
Right.
You know, like, was there something to the floor that would ruin his grip or whatnot?
Right. Spilled liquor, sweat
right.
from other people.
Exactly.
Yep.
But the fight scene was satisfactory enough to the point, like, you didn't really need that much backstory, you know, because the fight was just awesome, you know?
Yeah. You already knew what Michael Jai's character was about.
Yeah, like what his main goal was.
Yeah.
You don't think you really need too much story, but as far as the meaningless details.
Yeah,
but,
for sure.
And then after this montage, you see Pinball's new ride. You know, his scraper is no longer a scraper. You know, the body goes with the rims. It has like a new candy paint green,
nice,
you know, body work to it. And Pinball's a whole new promoter at this point. You know, just thanks to the money that him and Bone racked up.
Yep, give himself an upgrade.
Right, and you see them. They're having more of a moment together, like. You know, he says, I love you, man. But not like that. But like, I love you, man. It's like what we have here, what we got going on. It's like, it was really a moment for Pinball, you know, in his life especially, of him to be as such a promoter, you know.
Yeah.
I guess CalArts didn't pan out. The debut. But really, you know, they had this heart-to-heart, and they really built this friendship.
Bones took Pinball's joint and threw it out the window.
Like, man, I think you've been spoken too much.
Yeah, and he looked at him crazy too, like, man, you just spoken too much.
That little moment.
Yeah.
Story continues. Here is Bones. He's coming home late, but maybe early morning from those underground fights. Here's Tamara in the kitchen, you know, about to prep breakfast for the kids. But from far away, she noticed that Sue got the cut over his eye. She knows injuries from a mile away, just being a mother figure.
Yeah. She insisted on patching him up, fixing his wound.
Aggressively, you know, she was like, sit down. Pretty much, you know, she's like,
for sure.
Okay.
Right, as a caring motherly figure.
Yeah. So as he was getting patched up, you know, they kind of get a brief 411 on each other, but Bones wasn't willing to bear it all, if you will. He cut it quick to knowing more about Jared. And why does Jared hang out in front of the window the whole time? And like, where's Jared's family?
Right.
You know. But for Tamara, all she knows is that his father is in jail.
Yeah.
But she doesn't know that Danny is dead. You know. And that her mother is just nowhere to be found.
Right.
But I feel like Bones has an idea, but he just needs a little bit more detail. And I think within this conversation was enough for him to carry on with his mission, if you will. Right. And then here's Tamara curious about Tai Chi. She's seen Bones doing his katas or Tai Chi in front of the boarding house, just utilizing the space, right?
Nice.
And she find that beautiful, and that she's seen the elderly people do it at the local park.
Yeah.
And, she always wondered how to do it, but no one to teach her, right?
Right.
So here's Bones teaching her. And again, Ben Ramsey with his framework, man. Like frame with a frame.
Yeah.
This is pretty cool.
Out the window, like boom.
Right?
Yeah.
From the living room to this, it's like, man, this guy has the directional eye.
Like in Faking the Funk, Margaret Cho's character showed John Witherspoon Tai Chi.
Yeah.
And then got the whole neighborhood to do it.
Right.
The power of martial arts.
Exactly, y'all. It's not just a martial arts, it's therapy too.
Yeah, it's not about striking or hitting. It's just inner work.
It's that
spiritual work.
Mm-hmm. And story continues, and I don't know if it's the next day or what, but you see Bones teaching Jared karate.
Nice.
He's showing him forms, and again, this is the good compare and contrast of that fast life and martial arts, or a direction.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? From those two idiots,
Yeah.
trying to persuade them in the fast life, and you have Michael Jai, teaching him the way, martial arts, the Tao, whatever it may be, but it's like being more productive with your time.
A better way of living.
Yes.
Better way of life.
Right? And just see that compare and contrast and the choices in life that people have to make.
Right? Martial arts is the way, right? It's the way of living.
Mm-hmm.
Not the way of fighting, it's the way of living.
Yes. If you guys think otherwise, comment below. Let us know what you think.
Yeah.
Fast forward to the villain James and how he operates. Here he is running down one of his hookers. I guess he's a pimp, if you will, or whatever his business may be on the streets. But you see him running her down, but at a slow pace. She's making her run. He's teasing her in a way like, oh, why are you running? If you didn't do anything wrong, why are you running?
Yeah.
But for his reputation and what she knows about him, she really knows. And she tries to run for her life. But unfortunately, to no avail.
Man.
Teddy didn't want to, but James forced his foot down on that gas pedal, just run her down, rammed her, crushed her against that gated wall, or, and she just died on the impact. And Teddy was like, man, James, did you really have to do that?
Yeah, for real.
But James has no soul at this point, it seems, and, he just doesn't care. He's just tying up his loose ends in terms of his business.
Yeah.
As they're backing out of that alleyway, here is Roberto. He locks eyes with James and Teddy. James disregarding it, but he feels that Roberto may have seen what went down, and and then maybe Roberto's going to be another loose end that James has to tie up.
Yeah, dude, for real.
But
I wonder, he just knows where he lives, just a normal face, everyday face.
Right. But again, James didn't do nothing at that moment, but they part ways for now.
He has to be a familiar face on the streets.
Fast forward, it's fight night. Bones is finally going toe-to-toe with Hammerman. And we finally get to know why Hammerman is so fucking big.
Yeah.
He gets juiced up.
Man.
And, man, and this scene, between... Because, Teddy's trying to hype him up. But you guys have to see that for yourself. It's funny. So here we are. Fast forward. Pinball talking to James, showing off their respects. Pinball looks like a whole new man to James. Bones is about to get ready for Hammerman. So here's Bones telling Pinball, that thing who you say where I break people's bones. Don't say that. So here he is, Pinball doing his showmanship. He says something else. He says...
That's what his parents named him.
Right? He was able to think on the fly. That poetic mind of his.
They are just...
And now, they knuckle up!
Nice.
Can almost see a size difference between these two, but for Bone, you just wouldn't have figured that there's a lot of athleticism to this build.
Yeah, for sure.
With all that muscle they're going to be throwing around, you just wouldn't figure that Bones would be so fluid, so crisp, and again, no wires, dude.
He does a lot of kicks.
Yeah.
A lot of roundhouses, a lot of high-flying kicks. So it's really hard to carry yourself like that.
Right, and you see some kickboxing and some taekwondo in here.
Yeah, for sure.
You see a Superman punch, and again, to the point where no wires, he jumps out of frame.
Yeah.
So it really shows how much air he gets up, again, with boots on.
Man, that's ridiculous.
So he really engages with that core, and man, his physique.
Imagine take off the boots, he can jump higher.
Sheesh. But as this fight goes down, Hammerman is just no match for Bones.
Yeah.
Bones is just chopping down this tree, dude. He's
wearing him down, breaking him down.
Right, took out his knee. Now there's no foundation under that, right? So you're worried about that pain in that knee. So it's like you can't really fight no more.
He's bobbing and weaving.
Right.
Yeah. He really knows. See, I think the way he's fighting Hammerman, just his footwork. I think that's what Bruce is talking about.
Yeah.
It's like structure is really makes you stagnant.
Yep. You
gotta
be
be able
loose.
to move. Yeah.
Like we got flow like water, man.
Right.
And to the point, this water, it crushes Hammerman.
Yep.
You know?
Yep.
Bones finish him off with a kick. I mean,
To the dome.
with boots
You
on.
got a taste of size 11 in his face.
Timberlands.
Man, tastes like concrete.
James is shocked that he just lost.
Yeah.
His prize fighter went down. Pinball is excited, but he already knows. Bones told him, get the money. Oh, yeah. That's right.
Yeah.
Get the money, bitches. Right? He can't be too excited right now. He has to get the money.
Yep.
Right? And here's this interaction between him and James. James just looks at Pinball in a whole new light, but more so he's interested in Bones.
Yeah.
Right? So he pays off Pinball.
And he says, guess every dog has his day.
Right? As his prize fighter walks behind him in pain.
Okay.
Oh, my knee.
Guess this is yours.
My knee.
He broke my nose. How many funny if he said that without,
He broke it, my knee.
He broke my knee.
But here's Pinball looking cautious as he grabs that dough, as if like he really knows the reputation of James and he's just hesitant. Teddy even looks scared like, man.
Yeah. Dumbfounded. Like,
Right.
what did I just watch?
Man.
I just pumped him up full of drugs.
Exactly.
I think that's what it was. Like, whoa, it didn't faze him.
Bone, he's that fighter, dude.
Yeah.
But James owns up to his word and gives it up. And here's James interacting with Bone as if like he wants Bones to fight for him now. Like he wants to take Bones off of Pinball's hands.
He wants Pinball to slice of cake. You
Right.
know what I mean? Granted, James already has the whole loaf. He has the whole pie. But what Pinball has looks better
Yeah, exactly.
on his plate. You know what I mean?
All right. He invites him and Pinball to a party, right?
Yeah.
Well, it's supposed to be an after party, but it's just a party.
Yeah, for sure. Like, no victory for him.
No, man.
Thought it was. That's why he probably had it.
Pinball was hesitant, but for Bones, he was persistent because now he's close to the person of interest.
Yeah.
Right? He's getting closer.
Yeah.
James and Bones, they shake hands. James just seems impressed with, Bones' grip. And,
Yeah. Invincibility behind the defense.
And then Bones answers the probability in the attack.
Yeah.
James is more impressed. It's like, whoa, you're not just all brute.
Yeah.
You know philosophy.
Mhm. That whole yin yang right there.
Right at that moment, as they shook hands,
Yeah.
there's still yin yang there.
Yeah.
Doesn't matter the color barrier, there's still yin yang in the whole universe.
For sure.
Right? It's that universal connection, y'all.
And the two sides of the same coin.
Totes.
You know what I mean?
Totes. Fast forward, we're here at the party. Bones doesn't look impressed. Pinball looks cautious as far as where he's at, but everybody's having a good time.
Yeah.
And here's Angela rolling into the party late after getting her fix or after doing what she does.
Yeah.
But she doesn't seem impressed by what Bones did or why Bone is there.
Yeah.
But she's just doing her. James insists Pinball to have a fun time as he talks to his new prize fighter.
Yeah.
Or soon to be, if you will.
Soon to be his prospect, if you will.
Yeah.
Still scouting him.
Right.
But he hasn't signed with them yet. Yeah.
Here is James pulling his prospect Bones to his trophy room, if you will, or his dojo, where he has all these weaponry. In a way of showing off his ego. It's like, oh, you're into fighting. Well, I am too. I want to show you off my collection. If I can't fight, I can fight you with a weapon.
Yeah.
For James' perspective.
Right,
You know what I
right.
mean? Kind of trying to show that bravado. James trying to show off his Genghis Khan,
Yeah.
his shrine, if you will, and busting out a quote, which I'm not going to recite because I have no relation with that quote.
For sure.
But, however, here is Bones countering that quote with another Genghis Khan quote.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
For sure.
But we're going to save that for later on in this episode.
Yeah.
So stay tuned. But within this interaction, you just see this ego of James get diminished more and more because you have someone who's better.
Yeah.
Not just in martial arts, but in philosophy.
Is he able to match his wits?
Exactly. And
Yeah. He found an equal.
right, and James feels threatened.
Yeah.
Right. And then he throws this sword to Bones, and then Bones is like, "What the hell you want me to do with this?"
Yeah,
and
yeah.
But it's like, again, bravado.
Yeah, for sure.
So within this conversation, James wants Bones to fight for him. He wants him to fight against Pretty Boy Price,
Pretty boy Price.
who is the prize fighter of the consortium, or Franklin McVeigh, who is the boss of James, right?
Yes. Yes.
And he wants to do him in like how Pinball and Bones did him,
Yeah.
in terms of the money, you know what I
Yeah.
mean? And for the price of this kind of fight, in terms of $5 million.
Yeah.
and it can't be just any typical fighter. You know, it has to be a worthy opponent, you know, for the consortium. And Bones fits that description. James feels like he's about to cash in and partake in this such group that he dreams of being part of.
Yeah, part of the elite, if you will.
Right?
Yeah.
Which is called the consortium, by the way.
I guess for James, what he has is not enough, you know? But the way he lives in this movie looks like he already has it all.
Yeah. But
entourage and all, and mansion and whatnot, collectibles, antiques.
Money, which he claims that he doesn't have a lot of.
Right.
But if he's able to throw down this $5 million for this fight, it makes you question of how he gets his money.
Yeah, exactly.
Bone said he'll think about it, not giving him a straight answer. James puts out there that he doesn't like being told no to, really showing off the bravado. But for Bones, he's not faded by such power or
intimidation.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's seen a lot in his life, it seems, and this is just child's play.
Yeah, for sure. Like, I ain't scared of you.
Right? But for James, he's asking what will it take? And he brings up the name Angela. Cut to the party. Here's Angela being herself, trying to find her fix.
Yeah.
But instead, James tells her to do otherwise. So here's James and Angela. You know, they're talking on the side in terms of, you know who that is. I want you to give your best hospitality. You know, I want you to make him happy.
Go with Bones.
Show him a good time. But for her, although she's high on some supply, she still has some consciousness in terms of, I am not just a piece of meat that you can just throw me around, you know what I'm saying? Like, she has some dignity, but James has that power. You know, he has that power over her, and she doesn't know her own strength yet.
Yeah.
And then she's too reliant on that horse, if you will. And then from there, she folded. She takes Bones to the other room and, you know, does whatever she was supposed to do that James made her do.
Yeah, yeah.
But for Bones, that's not what he wants. She was about to pull a gun on him, but Bones counters with a photo of her and Danny when she was pregnant with their baby.
Yeah.
She drops the gun, she grabs that picture, she starts to tear up. She remembers who she is now and who that person is in that picture. She runs to the toilet, she starts throwing up. Bones is there, just telling everything that he knows about Danny and how they know each other and why Bone is there.
Yeah.
Bones gives his story in terms of how Danny died and how JC, played by Kimbo Slice, you know, shanking him. And Angela, she's looking at herself in the mirror in disgust. And you have Bone chime in on that in terms of Danny didn't die for this. You know, not necessarily put that guilt trip, but trying to put some inspiration into her. You know, trying to have her look in a different perspective.
Like he didn't lose his life for nothing.
Right.
Yeah. Angela did tell Bones that Danny was set up by James.
Yeah.
Like she knew what happened.
And she gave the full lowdown that she didn't abort her kid. You know, that she had to give it up for adoption. She lost custody, which how she ended up with James, right?
Yep, because I guess James didn't want to take care of that, or he just wanted Angela.
Yep, he didn't want the extra baggage.
Yeah.
Eventually she comes to and, you know, she realizes what she needs to do. So her and Bone, they kind of fake this funk where they did have a good time, where they did have sex, if you will.
Satisfaction has been given. Right.
To kind of show James that they did something. But he wants more. He wants to take Angela off his hands. And then James was highly considering that, knowing Bones might fight for him, or he thinks will fight for him. But again, Bones not giving a clear answer. James is confused, but he still agrees on giving up Angela.
Right.
Fast forward, here's Bones dropping off Angela at the rehab center. On the way there, she was even asking, where are you going to take me? He said somewhere you're going to get cleaned up, right? And that's where they end up, at this rehab center, and, you know, she's about to get cleaned up, and just so she can be with her son again.
Yeah, for sure. Because you're not going to try to bring her around Jared in that state. Yeah.
Exactly. And as they part ways from this rehab center, you know, she gives her thank yous. You know, like really showing that gratitude and that change.
For sure. Waking her up.
Knowing that her son's still out there.
Yeah. She found hope again.
Right. Fast forward, James pays a visit to Franklin McVeigh, and he throws down that $5 million. You know, he wants to be part of the elite. He wants to be part of the consortium. James comes up front that he wants that. And he wants to fight a pretty boy.
Yeah.
And Franklin was really hesitant. You know, he wasn't just going to grant anybody such requests.
Right.
Knowing that he doesn't need a lot from James. But James being really persistent and wanting that acceptance of such a group.
Yeah.
You know, Franklin does grant that. But gives a warning if, in terms of, you better own up on your end. If not, you're gonna have a lot of trouble out there by yourself in the world, if you will, and
don't disappoint me, right? James.
Right? Don't embarrass me in front of my friends.
Exactly.
My people, the consortium, James.
I'm gonna stick my neck out for you.
Right? Later that night, Bones comes home to some devastating news.
Man.
He sees police barrier in front of the house. He sees cops there and a dead body. Comes out to be Roberto.
No.
But Bones is just devastated of the news, you know?
Granted, it wasn't on him, but he couldn't be there to protect them.
He can't be everywhere all at once.
Yeah,
you know?
for sure.
Fast forward, he goes upstairs, he goes inside the house, he finds Tamara at her bed just crying about the news, and she informs Bone of what happened and that it was James's dogs, you know, his pit bulls, that, you know, James sicked his dog on him and just teared him up like a piece of meat. And again, this is in reference to earlier in the film where James was feeding his pit bulls the raw meat. And again, that was their role in terms of what they were going to do. And you know, it just really sucks that you breed dogs in order to do so. And I feel like people don't deserve dogs, you know?
Probably a bad comparison, but if you're watching zombie movies getting eaten alive, that's probably that.
You know, whatever it may be, but, you know, just to get eaten alive and tear it away out like that. And
that's slow and painful, man.
Seriously.
Damn.
But for Bones, I feel like now he has more of a motivation, you know, in order to accomplish his mission.
Yeah.
And here's Bone consoling Tamara. You know, they spend the night together, but with their clothes on, they just fall asleep together. You know, just being that protection. They wake up not too far long after this, and they get awakened by Jared, who's being held by James. James found where Bones stays. He's really persistent and excited what he did and the fight that he set up for Bones.
James called Bones like somewhat of a player.
Like, you take my girl away from me and here you are sleeping with the nanny.
Right? Like, damn. Funny enough, if that's what Genghis Khan was known.
Oh, yeah.
Conquer and rule and have sex with every woman he sees, whatever.
Right? Crazy.
Like, he's very contradicting with his philosophy.
Exactly.
James, I'm speaking of.
For real. But, you know, Tamara takes Jared out right away from the room, and Bones and James, they have their conversation in terms of the fight's been put on. But Bones never agreed that he was going to fight for him.
Yeah.
And he said he was going to think about it, and he thought about it, and, you know, he's not going to fight for James. James looks at Bones like, what did you say? You said no? Yeah. I told you I don't like being told no to. James is looking at Bones like, you don't know what I just did, and what's on the line here. And if you don't obey, I'm going to kill everybody that you know.
Even Pinball.
Alright, and to the point of frustration, James tried to whip out his sword in terms of intimidation, but Bones, he wasn't phased.
Yeah, snapped it in half.
Yeah, snapped it in half. I guess Tamara heard that commotion. She rushes up. James grabs her and has this gun to her head, you know, threatening Bones.
Yep.
You know, if you don't agree.
Right, I'm going to take her out. Yeah.
However, James catches himself. He cursed.
Yeah, one of his cardinal rules.
Right. He shouted out profanity. He showed his frustration about to shoot Tamara, but he let go and he just ran. He left that boarding house, and Tamara was just in tears.
Yeah.
Bones grabs her, gives her some money, tells her to take the kids to a motel until you hear from me. She agrees, but she tells him when all of this is done, don't come back.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Fast forward, here's a frustrated James. He's telling Teddy to tell him and his boys to get armed up, to go find Pinball, and to go find Angela.
Yeah.
Fast forward, here we are at the club. Pinball showing off his player mentality, you know, with after winning all that money as a promoter. But here is Hammerman.
Yeah.
Showing his bravado, showing his power, looking for Bones. But Pinball, being the loyal one, he wasn't going to just
snitch him out. Yeah,
right?
Yeah.
But
he gets punched in the stomach by Hammerman.
Right, and he throws up, and
his food.
He threw up on Hammerman's shoes, and Hammerman wasn't having that.
Damn.
And Pinball gets thrown around in this club, you know.
Where's Bones?
Right, and then, you know, Hammerman is about to throw down the final kill, but then here is Bones, saving the day, having his own little shootout, if you will, and again, just really makes you wonder on his skill set, on how he learned such moves, you know. Even Pinball was like, man, you're really skilled with that gun as you are fighting.
For real. So I wonder if he took his martial arts into the Marines.
Yeah, maybe.
And then quit the Marines, right?
And just got into some trouble.
Yeah.
Man, who knows?
Maybe as a kid he got through a lot of trouble. That's why he took martial arts.
Maybe.
Yeah.
So here's Pinball on the ground. Help get this side of beef off me. Him and Bones need to go take care of some business in terms of getting their revenge against James.
Yeah.
Fast forward, James finds out where Angela is through his intel off the street.
Yeah.
She's seen where Angela's being held at in terms of the rehab center.
Yeah, the clinic.
Right?
Yeah.
So right away, here we see Teddy and the crew at this rehab center about to obtain Angela.
Yeah, and Gene LaBelle, he gets knocked out by one of Teddy's boys.
Yeah.
Or was it Teddy? One of those?
But surprise, surprise, it's not Angela. It's
Pinball under the sheets.
Right? Holding up everybody at gunpoint. And then here is Bones coming into the room, taking down all the dudes.
Yeah.
And then here's Teddy gets pushed on Pinball. He has Pinball in the chokehold, and as if Ron Yuan and Dante Basco are continuing
where they left off
from Faking the Funk in that restaurant scene.
I wonder if they laughed at each other.
Right?
It's weird, man.
Flashback, yo.
Where's your ponytail, Ron? Where's your ponytail?
Wow.
You need to push up on that.
Hit that like button if you know what we're talking about. Faking the Funk. Story continues. Pinball. He shoots Ron Yuan in the stomach because he was still holding those pistols up.
Discharged on Teddy.
Teddy's dead and everyone is out of order, if you will. Bones tells Pinball to grab everyone's phone. And then here is James calling Teddy's phone.
Yeah.
But instead, who he hears, it's Bone on the phone.
It's me.
James is scared. James is shocked who he hears on the phone.
Like, he was really scared.
Right? Because he says, now I'm coming for you.
In the Spawn voice.
He hangs up. He's scared.
Yeah.
And, there's static on the TV, and it has that symbolism of what's going on in his head, right?
Yeah. There's no clarity in his thinking no more.
Exactly.
He's frazzled.
However, he did think about Teddy's phone, and that has GPS.
Yeah.
Right? The eye pickle.
Yeah.
He calls Bone, who has Teddy's phone, and he tells Bone, if you want me, go to this location. Right?
We're gonna have to move this fight a little earlier.
So that fight with Pretty Boy Price is gonna happen sooner than later.
Yeah.
Bones knows where he has to go. So him and Pinball make their way in Pinball's candy paint car. Bones sneaking his way in there while Pinball, makes a call to the police and, tell them that something's about to go down at this location.
Yeah.
Bones sneaks in there, but he doesn't have to put too much work in because he's being expected. Here he is, being led to this elite group, the consortium, if you will, and, they're waiting for this prize fight to go down, and you just see a diverse group of people, from all over the world. We also get a special appearance by Sensei Demura, the real Mr. Miyagi.
Yeah, and kind of like a real private pay-per-view.
For real, dude.
Like, for $5 million, only a handful of people can watch.
Totally says a lot in terms of it's who you know, not what you know.
Yeah, for sure. I wonder if those people who are watching got to watch for free because they're friends of McVeigh, or they put in money.
Man.
Right, to put that fight together.
But before this fight can go down, Bones records James confessing, confessing to all the crimes that he's committed, especially Danny's death.
Yeah.
Right? Danny's incarceration and just
his setup.
Right? And so Bone gets the evidence that he needs and he agrees with this fight. He gets ready for Pretty Boy Price.
Oh, yeah.
Here's Pretty Boy coming in with a suit. Franklin McVeigh asks Price if he needs to change, and he looks at Bone like, for what? This fight's going to end soon.
Yeah.
But for Bone, he knows otherwise.
Yeah.
Because he has that much confidence within his own skills.
Right. He knows himself very well.
And this fight between Bone and Pretty Boy Price, they really built him up to be this prize fighter, but he really seemed no match for Bone, It's like the way Pretty Boy trains or whatnot.
Right.
Like, it's not built for every fighter.
Yeah.
Right? And especially for Bone and his skill set. It's like you don't come across these type of fighters on an everyday basis. And Bone just totally demonstrates on why he's the better fighter.
And honestly, in this fight, there's no weight comparison, no height comparison, none of that tail of the tape type stuff. Just fight for $5 million.
By any means, No rules, that seems.
So, like, all that training that Pretty Boy did, it was probably pointless.
It was just cardio.
Overtraining, cardio.
Because Pretty Boy really had no answers for Bone. He was just better.
Yeah. Bone's training was just his fights that he had to fight, and then his katas. Right. That was it. No formal training.
And Bone really plays this mystery card to the T because we really don't know where he gets his training.
Yeah.
Even James asked him. Bones just says here and there, not really disclosing that.
Yeah. Really discreet.
You guys have to see this fight for yourselves. In terms of round 2, when Pretty Boy takes off his jacket, you know, it's like Bone really fakes him out.
Yeah, he breaks his rhythm.
Yeah, dude. You see that Bruce Lee influence.
Yeah, breaking the rhythm and not always doing the same thing twice.
Right, going with the flow.
Yeah.
And very much like he did to Hammerman, he was chopping him down. You know, he was getting him with every kick, every move.
Yeah.
To the point Bone got him in a leg lock.
Yeah.
And as he has Pretty Boy in this leg lock, he looks at McVeigh and James and the consortium elite.
Yeah.
And he taps out.
He
taps out 3 times. Pretty Boy wins by forfeit.
Yeah.
Everyone is shocked, but James, he is frustrated.
Yeah.
You have McVeigh trying to prevent James from, you know, losing his composure.
Yeah.
But for James, he's just filled with too much rage. He grabs a katana and he threatens to fight Bone. James is striking at Bone. Bone is dodging every swipe, every strike to make the odds even. Here's McVeigh telling O'Hara.
Nice.
Played by
Ball.
the legendary Bob Wall, y'all. Rest in
Nice.
peace.
Rest in peace.
James is fascinated by his sword work. He thought he's just all fist and feet, but for Bone, he doesn't need that sword. He uses the sheath instead. James and Bone, they go head to head, and it's 3 rounds of tag. Bones gets him the first 2 times with every technique, and it seems like James has more training to do. And then here's round 3. James is trying to attack him, but Bones was able to redirect that sword, and then James cuts off his own hand. And there he is, bleeding out on the mat. Fight's obviously over. There's no way of recovering from that. Other than McVeigh, everyone from the elite is gone. McVeigh is just sitting there. Bones is pointing at him, I'm coming for you later.
James tells McVeigh, if I go down, you're going with me too.
And that puts him more to question in terms of what's Bones' past and what does he have against McVeigh. The story continues. We're here at the boarding house and we see there Jared again at that window waiting for his parents, right? And that moment finally came for Jared. Tamara is there telling Jared, go say hi to your mom, you know, and then there they are. Angela is reunited with Jared. And again, shout out to Ben Ramsey, you know, with that frame moment, with that compositional choice. Tamara goes upstairs, talks to Bone. They have this heart-to-heart, assuming that Bone knew all along that Jared was there this whole time, and he pays no mind to that and gives Tamara more money. I guess money that he has won from his fights, and in favor of, you know, letting Angela and Jared stay there until she cleans up. And Tamara agrees, and she tells Bone to stay, even though she told him to leave. But promise was kept. Bones is the type of person to keep his promises. You know, he fulfilled that, you know, off to a new chapter.
Yeah.
You know? And he feels like he's no longer needed there.
It's like, for a guy he met in prison, he looked at him as a brother, which he did, right? It's like, him coming out of jail, he could have been like, why do I have to do that? Like, he's already passed. Why can't I just live my own life?
Right. I have my own problems.
But he fulfilled that promise.
Really says a lot on Bones' character, you know? Isaiah Bone, by the way. Bone walks out of the boarding house. He says bye to everybody. He sees those 2 idiot drug dealers getting arrested. But then here's Pinball waiting for him, you know, offering a ride, offering more fights, you know, more in the higher end of all street fights. But for Bone, he's done. He has unfinished business he needs to take care of. Pinball doesn't fight that. He just lets him be. They part ways. Bone walks into the sunset. Very much like
The Western,
right? Way to Dragon, Bruce Lee, Kung Fu, you know, all the above.
Incredible Hulk. TV show.
Whatever you can think of, comment below. But you just get that homage. And that was Blood and Bone, y'all.
Blood and Bone.
Although this movie is over, 15 years or so later, here's the reunion between these two.
Nice.
Pinball and Bone, back together on the plane. Where are they heading to?
A world tour? A fight tour? I don't know. Like underground somewhere else?
They're gonna go fight international? But we definitely gotta get a sequel. I mean, Michael Jai White, he's still in tip-top shape.
They aged well. It's like they can continue where they left off and still look good.
Yep.
It'll still work. They still have that chemistry.
And as you can see in the photo here on Dante Basco's Instagram, they were heading to GalaxyCon. And who knew that they would be on the same plane, you know?
Yeah.
So, hey, to see these two together again and being fans of their careers and their contributions to pop culture and
film.
Again, it will be awesome to see a sequel to this movie.
Definitely, I would love to see it, man.
If you haven't seen this movie, we highly suggest it. For a 90-minute movie, very fast paced, information was there, a lot of what if stirs up, but that can only go for a sequel.
You know, that would be cool for Blood and Bone Part 2. Jared grows up and becomes that, just reunited and then fight McVeigh's fighter again, like a new fighter, not Price no more, somebody else. So that would be cool, maybe, you know, what if.
What do you guys think? Comment below.
But the way it ended, the way it started, it's good. You don't need to expect a sequel.
If there ever will be a sequel, but this story was enough, you know, in terms of the beginning, middle, and end. Pretty straightforward.
I believe that any good martial arts movie has quotes in it.
Oh, yeah.
Like even Equalizer, the first one. Even Rocky, as long as there's quotes, it's a good one.
Totes. If I were to have to rate this movie, I'd give it a 5 out of 5. Definitely on the rewatch list. Michael Jai White is still in his prime in terms of martial arts. He's still acting. He's still doing his thing as a martial artist, and his greatness, you know, and just his full-on expression as a martial artist.
Yeah, it kind of showcased everything he trained in.
Yeah,
you know what I mean.
Right. His skills back it up.
Yeah.
In terms of the story, it was pretty simple. The whole mysterious card was definitely effective for Michael Jai White in terms of wanting more, but it was definitely well paced and well worth it.
For sure.
Well worth the time. The martial arts is awesome, the action is awesome, and you can't go wrong.
Yeah,
and you know,
sure.
Definitely 5 for me.
Yeah, I'm gonna go with 5. Totally an American martial arts film. He didn't go up against a group of martial artists, you know, from the big boss, you know what I mean? He fought other fighters, but then it wasn't like Hong Kong where he fought like a group of martial artists all at once, you know what I mean?
Yeah, definitely that American brand of street fighting.
Exactly. Like, and then again, it's like something you can actually apply in real life street scenarios.
Mm-hmm. I mean, I feel like this is like during the height of MMA, you know, UFC, because one of the fighters was wearing that tap out gear.
Yeah.
Right. So that was like the hot brand during that time, I feel. So
early 2000s, yeah.
So it kind of just showed the time of UFC
Yeah.
and how you're saying that what traditional martial arts goes up against, or what it can go up against.
Yeah, for sure. Like most martial arts movies in the 80s, 90s, heavy guns. This one, not so much. I like that.
Yeah, me too.
It wasn't an army of gunmen. It was just very minimal.
Yeah.
Pure martial arts, y'all. I like it. There's no wires. It really showed his fluidity, his flexibility, his athleticism as a martial artist. And he didn't oversell his stuff either.
No.
The camera work, the angles was great. It wasn't too mobile. It wasn't too messy.
Given his build, his physicality, it wasn't stiff.
Fluid.
Know? Exactly.
Yeah,
like
for sure. Because honestly, you can see like some karate guys in like the 80s and 90s, pretty static, really robotic. Because there's like a lot of muscle.
If you want to compare Michael Jai White to Bolo.
Yeah.
Like Bolo in his prime, given they're about the same size, Bolo looked like he can't barely move those muscles. You know what I mean? Like it's really stiff. You know,
yeah, for sure.
Right?
It's Bolo and Jean-Claude mixed together.
And you get Michael Jai White.
You get Michael Jai White. In the movies, you can see some nods and homages to the way Bruce's movies were directed.
Totes.
The eye close up, the way when you analyze stuff.
Yeah.
And then like in Way of the Dragon, you analyze and just one-hitter quitters and just... And then when Michael Jai was fighting them, as he was coming up to Tattoo, almost like the Enter the Dragon.
Totes.
The elevator scene.
Yep.
Right. If you know the movies, you'll see it.
If you guys are martial arts fans, you can see those references. If you guys are directors out there, you guys can probably learn something from Ben Ramsey and this film.
For sure. The last fight, a lot of Enter the Dragon references.
Right. Especially like the yard. You know, that's Big Boss.
Yeah, for sure. And he was teaching other people martial arts, which I thought was cool.
Yeah.
So 5 all the way from Michael Jai, definitely on the rewind or replay.
And rewind.
If
you have VHS.
And training, taking notes.
Totes.
But man, Michael Jai all the way. Who knew Spawn was so amazing?
Right? When you think of Michael Jai White, it's not just Spawn,
it's not Spawn, it's Michael Jai.
Right? He's not just a stuntman, he's not just a martial artist, he's a great actor. His filmography is awesome. One of our favorites is Why Did I Get Married?
Yeah, and 1 and 2.
1 and 2, and like his acting in there is pretty awesome.
Pretty great.
Blood and Bone, y'all. We highly suggest it. If you just want to watch the fight scenes, stream this movie however you want. This movie was a straight to DVD, so if you can find a hard copy in whatever bin you can find it in, definitely pick it up, add it to your martial arts collection.
For sure. Totally great martial arts film.
And if you reach this part of the video, we highly appreciate you because we already know time is expensive. But we appreciate you for spending that time with us. But if you're here for the first time, definitely like, subscribe, comment below what do you want us to look into next. But if you're a returnee, you already know. Share what you've learned today, share what you watched, tell a friend of a friend, and they two friends, and so on and so on.
And so on.
But definitely stay tuned for more comics, movies, and music reviews on the way, including our own creations to share with the world.
Yes, stay tuned.
Avatar follow, physical follow, whatever floats your boat. Follow us along on this journey.
Yes, please do.
And now we like to end this episode with a motivational quote for y'all. But if you heard this before, by all means, just let it be a self-reflection of where we are today.
In the present.
And this one is by Genghis Khan. And it states, I am the punishment of God. If you have not committed great sins, God would not have sent a punishment like me upon you. End quote. Separate your feelings and your thoughts on Genghis Khan and what he's done in the past in terms of who he is as a person, but just that quote alone and the relatability set by Bones, they really go hand in hand in terms of being a child of God and how we're all God's children and that power is within us, and it's only a matter of when to release that. Right? And for this moment or for this film, Bones had a reason to. You know, Bones was sent to cross paths with James and to set things right. You know, for Danny, for his family, and for all hopes of humanity. You know what I'm saying? Just because of James's activities and his way of life, which is contradictory to the fact that he looks up to Genghis Khan. And I feel like for James, he has a lot of learning to do.
He's suffering from duality.
Exactly, dude.
Right, it's like Bones is the opposite of what James is. Two sides of the same coin, right? It's like, which one do you want to feed? Again,
Bones is
bringing that balance. That's why it's like James considers Bones his equal. You know what I mean? That's his Lex Luthor. His kryptonite is Bones. Right, because he knows him. He counters him with Genghis Khan to make James think like, oh wait, who am I really? Who do I really want to be?
To know oneself, the journey starts within.
Knowing thyself. Self-actualization, right? Totally, the way.
Let Blood and Bone be that self-reflection for your life, that inspiration, motivation of keeping promises and what you got to do in order to fulfill those, and, you know, use it sparingly in terms of who is it worth doing it for, and
it could be a promise to yourself as well. Right, promising to change for the better, or whatever the promise you made for yourself. Right, it's being able to honor that and see it through. Builds character.
Builds thyself.
It's
the journey, not the destination. So just enjoy it and just be in the moment.
For sure. Because what's meant for you will always come. When you think you did miss it, it's just a blessing.
Because it's that time we're going to say, stay creative, keep creating.
Stay independent, have your own style.
Do your best as a human being to stay motivated and to keep on going.
Stay positive, kill the negativity, y'all. Love yourself and be kind.
And if you don't study martial arts, continue to be the best human being you can and honor your promises.
For sure. Show the people that you can be the way.
Till next time, y'all.
Till next time.
Peace.
Peace.
Knuckle up!
One technique.
I never seen that before.